You lived an entire life before you could remember anything. You were born. You opened your eyes. You heard your mother's voice. You felt hunger. You cried in the dark. You tasted food. For the first time, you learned faces. You took your first steps. You said your first word. And today, you remember none of it. Not one clear image. Not one real moment. Not one memory you can reach and say, yes, I was there. But here is the strange. Not one real moment you can reach and say, yes, I was truly there. But here is the strange part. Those years were not empty at all. Your brain was not turned off. You were not just a little body moving through life. You were learning which voices were safe and which faces meant comfort inside your tiny world. You learned hunger, warmth, reaching, crawling, standing, walking, and the first rules of being alive. So the question is not, did you have memories as a baby? The answer is yes. The real question is stranger and darker. Where did all those memories go? Most people think the answer is simple. You were too young to remember anything. Your brain was not ready, so babies simply do not remember things. That sounds logical. But that is not the full truth, because babies can remember more than we expect. In one famous experiment, researchers tied a ribbon from a baby's ankle to a mobile. The mobile hung above the crib, and when the baby kicked, the mobile moved. Very quickly, the baby learned the connection. Kick the leg, and the mobile moves. Then, days later, the baby was brought back to the same place. And something surprising happened. The baby started kicking again, as if it knew. It is called the hippocampus. The hippocampus is one of the main systems that helps turn your life into memories. It takes an experience, a face, a place, a sound, a feeling, and helps store it as something you can later replay in your mind. But when you were a baby, this system was still under construction. The connections were not fully built yet. Your brain could react to the world. It could learn from the world. It could hold short memories for a little while, but it was not yet good at turning those moments into the kind of long-term memories that survive for years. It was like trying to save important files on a computer, while the computer itself was still being built. Some things worked, but the whole system was not ready yet. And then comes the more disturbing part. Your brain was growing too fast. In the first years of life, your brain was creating huge numbers of new neurons. This growth was necessary. It helped build the brain you use now. It helped you learn to move, to speak, to understand faces, to recognize the world, to become a person. But there was a cost. When new neurons entered your memory circuits, they could disrupt the old connections already there. And some of those old connections were holding your earliest memories. So your first memories may not have disappeared, because they were never saved. They may have disappeared because your brain kept rebuilding itself. Imagine writing your life story on the walls of a house, while the house is still under construction. New rooms are added. Old walls are knocked down. Doors move. The floor changes. The whole structure keeps shifting. And slowly, the words on the old walls disappear. That is what may have happened inside your brain. Your earliest memories were not erased by accident. They were buried under the construction of you. But memory needs more than a brain structure. It also needs a main character. And when you were a baby, there may not have been a full you yet, not in the way you experience yourself now. Today, when something happens, you feel it as your story. I went there. I saw that. I felt this. That happened to me. But babies do not begin life with that clear sense of self. A very young child does not fully understand. I am a separate person. This body is mine. These experiences belong to me. That sense develops slowly. At first, the world is mostly sensation. Light, Sound, warmth, cold, hunger, pain, comfort, fear. Things are happening. But there is no strong narrator inside the mind yet, saying, "This is my life. This happened to me. This is part of my story." And that matters, because the memories you carry as an adult are not just recordings. They are stories. They have a person at the center. They have a beginning, a feeling, a place, a meaning. But before your sense of self was fully formed, your experiences may not have been organized that way. You were alive. You were feeling. You were learning. But the you who could own those memories had not fully arrived yet. Then language changed everything. Before you had words, your world was made of raw impressions. A voice, a smell, a hand touching your face, a bright window, a loud sound, a feeling of being scared, a feeling of being held. But without words, those experiences had no strong structure. Words give memory a shape. When a child starts speaking, life becomes easier to organize. This was mom. This was home. This was yesterday. This was scary. This was funny. This happened to me. And when adults begin talking with children about the past, memory becomes even stronger. Remember when we went to the park? Remember when you fell down? Remember when you saw the dog? These conversations teach the child how to build a memory. What happened first? Who was there? How did it feel? Why? Did it matter? Language gives memory a skeleton. Without it, experience is like water with no container. It exists for a moment, then slips away. So what really happened to your first years? It was not one thing. It was everything at once. Your memory system was still developing. Your brain was producing new neurons so quickly that old memory circuits could be disrupted. Your sense of self was not fully formed, and you did not yet have language to turn raw experience into lasting stories. That is why your first years feel like a blank space, not because nothing happened, but because the person who could remember them had not fully been built yet. And that leads to a strange question. When you look at an old photo of yourself as a baby, who are you looking at? That baby has your face, your body, your eyes, your name. But that baby did not think like you, remember like you, or understand itself like you. The brain inside that tiny head was still being built, while the self was still forming. The memories were unstable. The story had not started yet. So was that baby you? Or was it the first version of you? A version that lived, felt, cried, and learned. A version that changed, then was slowly overwritten so the next version could exist. Every person has this hidden beginning, a black hole at the start of their life. Your parents, your friends, and strangers once lived through years they can never return to. Years filled with sounds, faces, fear, comfort, pain, love, and almost no reachable memories. But maybe that forgetting was not a failure. Maybe it was the price of becoming human. Your brain had to do something more important than preserve every early moment forever. It had to build a body that could walk, a mouth that could speak. It had to build a mind that could understand, and a self that could say, I. Your first life was not completely lost. It still lives inside your reactions and feelings. Your brain did not forget because it was weak. It forgot because it was becoming you.